guys, Dex Lipovich from Scrye AI. We're here outside of the House of Novogratz, and I'm here with strategic consultant of the Gaming Society, Elisa Jacobs. Elisa, can you tell us what Gaming Society is?
Yeah, Gaming Society is an incredible new platform. It's dedicated to gamification and content. They have the IP for Bet on Women and really trying to equalize the playing field for betting, education. It's an unbelievable initiative that's headed by Kevin Garnett.
I'm here with the founder, Mr. Scott Salandi DeFore. What is Scrye?
We're trying to take Web3 from something that's kind of abstract and make it tied to the real world, creating real world impact, augmented reality, anything that can really bring blockchain to the masses.
I'm here with Vice President of Business Development at Gaming Society, Marissa Coleman. Marissa, thanks so much for joining me for this interview.
Thank you.
Can you talk a little bit about Bet on Women? Because we have an entire section of the property siphoned off for Bet on Women.
We do. Bet on these guys. Bet on Women, I am very, very passionate about for obvious reason. Playing the WNBA for 10 years and wanting to help propel women's sports forward. So we have an exclusive partnership with the WNBA Players Association to represent the phrase Bet on Women. And we want to really use that to not only literally bet on women and women's sports, but to bet on women and help propel women's sports forward, help prepare women in business. So we think that gamification is the way to go about that. We can onboard the new fan and the fans of women's sports. They crave gamification. They crave ways to interact and build that community, but it's not out there. So we see a huge opportunity to build that community and to be that platform for fans of women's sports to come together and build that community.
Thank you. We are so incredibly excited to be here. The Gaming Society is revolutionizing the way that we think about content, gamification, and most importantly, betting on women.
For so long, creatives, especially athletes, it's like, oh, athletes get paid so much, da 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 da. But all these athletes will tell you, even the one that's turned, when the end get close and it's over. You don't have nothing but what you showed up with and what you collected along the way.
A really key part and a key element to why we watch athletes and keep up with them is their actual in-game performance. With musicians, they release music. With artists, they release art. With athletes, their art is actually their performance in game. And so a key piece of the NFTs is recording the stats on chain. And really that opens the door to tons of gamification opportunities to build. It's like a base level of the athlete fan connection. It's like you're there rooting for your athlete to make that shot. You're rooting for the athlete to get that assist.
I think it's interesting that we're all up here and we're so okay with failing. Because we're going to be one of the first people to do what we're doing, we're so okay with that concept. For me and all the business ideas and everything that I go through, I almost see everything as such a real possibility. Just because I understand how much failing there is in the game that I love, and I'm so used to it. It's not about how many times you get knocked down. We all know that. It's how many times you get back, you get back up. I think with literally Ether Sand alone, everything's right there. Everything's a public transaction. You can't hide from anything. And I think that's where, honestly, society could really go towards is who keeps their word, who keeps their promises, and who does that the longest time.
Is around output instead of input, what you've taken instead of what you've given. And this is an area, an arena, a universe, a metaverse, a metaphysical experience that's allowing you to actually be measured by your contributions to society, to culture, to art, and it's really special. And the thing about sports that's so interesting is the point of differentiation almost across any vertical of culture, I would venture to say humbly, is loyalty.
So it's super early, and I think the opportunity is now to just jump in the game, learn the game, and link up, right? Yeah. We believe in collectives. Collectives are going to become the micro, economy, right, of that brand. And like, if you can get a collective around the brand, then, brand to brand, right, is gonna build whatever this next verse is.
Whether you are an operator, an engineer, whatever you might be, there's a space for you. And as Ethan was saying, it is interoperational, it is interchangeable, but it is at the intersection of collaboration over competition. If Bored Apes launched and there weren't a massive amount of folks getting behind it together, it would still be sitting around. Same with CryptoPunk, same with any of these things that have gone viral or really become wildly successful seemingly overnight. Just like every entertainer takes 5-10 years to be an overnight success. It's a little bit shorter in the digital world.
But we have to also point out some of the gaps in the space.
Yeah.
So that's my interest, is where are the problems and how can we fix that?
Yeah.
Gas fees is one of those. So say you want to buy your first NFT. You're trying to convince someone, yo, you should get this NFT. Maybe it costs like $50. But then all of a sudden the gas is $350. And so now it's $400. How are you supposed to convince someone who knows nothing about NFTs?
Sounds like LA Automotive.
GM, and now it's $400, right? So that's an inequality. And what I mean by that is not everyone can afford to pay that gas fee.
It's very important to treat people well. People always remember how you make them feel. So whether that's digitally or in person, you got to make them feel well every time. And so people say, hey, Cam, is there anything I can do for you? I just say, hey, talk great about me when I'm not there. That's it. Just talk great about me and I'll be good. So that's my advice. Treat people well and you'll be all right.
So we're gonna rock and roll. So in terms of the melt ball NFTs, it absolutely is the future of NFTs, because for the first time that we've seen on a large scale, we're seeing a professional athlete tie his personal accomplishments directly to his community.
The idea of the collection was that growing up in LA, Ethan and I were big Lakers fans. If you thought about the fourth quarter of a Lakers game, you realize, everybody would cheer, "We want tacos." The idea is that if the Lakers would score more than 100 points and the opposing team would score less than 100 points, then everybody in Staples Center would get 2 tacos from Jack in the Box. We decided to take that logic and apply it to blockchain, apply it to LaMelo in particular, and say, hey, if you're willing to participate in this community, then whatever we decide that LaMelo's trigger reward is, depending on his performance, if he gets a double-double or triple-double, even non-quantitative rewards, if he gets an All-Star Game award or a Rookie of the Year award, that the fans that put their money down to say, hey, we really love LaMelo Ball, they would end up winning some kind of reward based on his performance.
One of the things we've always been thinking about is, as I said earlier, how do you tie NFTs to the real world and have real world impact, because there's all this quote unquote money being generated. So what we did, and actually I literally just got back, is we visited 4 countries in Africa in terms of site visits. And then for our NFT drop, for every 1,500 NFTs we sell, we're going to deploy a charging station that provides electricity and water to people in rural places in Africa, Southeast Asia, and then also randomly Lebanon. But to add some utility, what we're doing is that every quarter, the revenue generated from those charging stations and water stations from Bitcoin mining, the community of NFT holders can vote how that money is distributed in the local community where the charging station is.
So with Liquid Star NFTs, with a lot of these positive impact NFTs, in the future, ideally, we can harness solar energy to provide electricity 24/7. So these students can actually have electricity to do what it is they're trying to study, to make the impact that they're trying to make.
99% of whatever it is of the world just isn't in Web3. And there are people that are in Web3 that want to help and be light workers or be advocates of whatever industry they're in, athletes, music, finance, whatever. And so the projects that you can think of it like an incubation hub.
And as risky as crypto is, when you create a project, it's still actually relatively low risk, because if you create a project and it doesn't take off as well as you want it to, you could create another project relatively quickly. And if you're able to succeed, you can see exponential success also very, very quickly. So that's one reason I love the Web3 space.
What I'm here to do in the Web3 is to represent the African indigenous voice as a woman. I think that there's a lot of loose terms when it comes down to saying we're building community, WAGMI, we're all going to make it. And I'm looking in the crowd and I'm like, so how are we gonna all make it? Because there are some people that are surviving. Our parents don't know what NFT is. All the third culture kids that are out here, like we're all third culture kids. And I think that we have such a beautiful opportunity to say, what does it look like for us to tap into the simplest form of humanity, which is the inner child?
DAOs are fantastic, and they're going to change the world, right? For so long, the way that we've structured our society, and particularly the capital in our society, is just that returns lead to concentrated returns, lead to more concentrated returns. And the result there is that there's a few cities in the world that control most of the money, right? And it's harder than ever for the average person to actually put their money into something that can get a decent return. It's also really hard for the average person to give their money to something that they think is worthwhile and worthy.
So for all these people in the room, the results are here, the people are here, the executors are here, the builders are here, all of you are here. Go out and do it and try it. If you fail it, no one will remember. And if you hit it big, don't forget us.